Hello everyone, I am Tacet, and today I'm going to be going over a key opening and teams for the new Mythic of Queen of Sin. If you are on the Nintendo Switch version, in the top right will be a little icon thing to go over to Ubistet, which is the Mythic troop for this week on a Nintendo Switch. But for all other versions of the game, we have Queen of Sin. She's in the Glory Gem Guild and VIP chest for this week only, and then she'll be in the drop table with everything else. Basically, Mythics come in once every month for a week, a brand new Mythic, and is the exclusive thing in all four of those drop tables to make it a little bit easier to get newer Mythics. This Mythic is quite skippable, however, as it is pretty bad for the most part. It's somewhat like Grim with its reduction, however, it's also really weird in that it has Corvash true damage, but it's not enough to really make it worth it due to no board control and no real follow-up with it. So it has a lot of true damage, probably around the 30s by the time it fully gets upgraded to the first two enemies. So it hits the exact same things that Corvash does, with similar damage, is a little bit higher. But it doesn't have mana drain or stun attached to it. Instead, it summons a Wrath or a Lust, which is a little bit annoying that it's either or. Mainly because if you were doing it in the first slot, you would obviously want Wrath. Or if you were doing it somewhere else, you'd want Lust. However, the fact that it's not consistently one or the other does make it a little bit of a weird kind of summon, in that it won't always be that viable, and it's really inconsistent as those two are completely drastically different troops. And then it blesses all Daemon allies, which has gotten buffed. Of course, Bless has immune to transform now, as well as basically all the immunities of Impervious plus Mana Drain. And other than that, it does have a somewhat like a Grim ability. Whenever an ally ends up casting a spell, it reduces a random skill on all enemies by 4. So instead of consistently being attacked every single time, it is a random one. And instead of triggering on extra turns like how Grim does, it does it based on whenever an ally casts. So it could occasionally be okay with cast spam, even gains additional damage every single time he casts as well. But other than that, it does seem like it is a pretty underwhelming Mythic. It is also for the kingdom of Sin of Maraj, which is the absolute furthest kingdom in the entire game from even being remotely close to power level 10. It's not even at power level 6 yet, even with this Mythic. So this kingdom is just ages upon ages away, and for the most part, if you were to ever to skip a Mythic, this is definitely a Mythic to skip. However, we are not. If you have more than half the Mythics in the game, you should generally just go for every single new Mythic that comes out, and that is no exception right now. So let's go try to get it. Do it 50 at a time. Apparently we had a task to go and open some keys as well, so that works quite conveniently. Widow Queen. Hopefully we get some copies of stuff that we have been needing as well, but the quicker we can finally get this Mythic, the better, that is for sure. Magnus, he is not really that needed anymore now that there's so many other things that play stats effects. Queen Titania with its nice AoE and Fairy Fire, actually going to be using it with her as well, since that Fairy Fire will increase the true damage that she does by 50%. And obviously with her higher true damage, we're going to want to try to one-shot it. And can we get her? Nope. Corvash, we are going to synergize that with her as well, as Corvash will be able to do basically the same exact hits. It's the first two enemies with true damage, and that's exactly what she does as well. So it has some synergy there. Boy, I might just go into the 200s, but then again, our keys will be depleted in seconds if we do. But so far, so bad as far as the luck is concerned. Hopefully get it soon, though we have plenty of keys in case we don't. Still have all of our guild keys, and then after that, we still have all of our leftover seals. And there we go, Queen of Sin. So let's go get this thing upgraded, go look at everything, and see what it is in teams. So, of course, these are mainly going to be first impressions and everything. We'll be covering it more during streams later today. But let me go and get her upgraded. I forgot we can't go to unowned anymore, so let me go type in Sin of, and that should bring her up, or not. Oh, yeah, duh. Queen of Sin. Queen of Sin, so let's just get her upgraded real quick. So we'll go and just do the first trait real quick, and then simply go and use a bunch of orbs to get the rest. So since she's already level 20, we don't need to send her at all. We'll use 2 small oranges for the second and third traits, as you tend to use the smaller ones on Legends and Mythic second and third trait. And then we'll throw a big green to get her fully leveled, just to save us about 7,000 or so souls, almost towards 8,000. And there we go. Now she is maxed out. Let's see what her final stats are with absolute max stats. And that is deal 31 true damage to the first 2 enemies. That is abysmal, and it doesn't even have a boost ratio off of like Daemons or anything. I'm actually really surprised they did not give it like a Daemon boost ratio of like 3 or 4 or something. But yeah, it just does not look that useful. We can maybe use it for that final ability, but we'll see. Let's just go get this into some teams and see what we can do initially. A lot of these are a little bit centered around Mountain Crusher just because it is a pretty spammable weapon that does synergize into her ability pretty well. And I just use her Yali as placeholders, as they actually do use... There's actually already a troop very similar to her, oddly enough. Uriali that does true damage to everything. And even though I don't consider Uriali to be that good, there's a good possibility Uriali is actually stronger than Queen of Sin. However, we haven't tested that yet, so we don't really know. But anyways, let's get into some teams real quick. Just to see first impressions. Never buy that. However, there is a flash offer that is okay. For $2 for the 90 gems and 1 VIP key, but you should never buy these other upgrades. Hope they like reprice them or do something with them because those are exceptionally overpriced. That's basically exactly what I did with those orbs. That one green orb would have been all those souls, and those 2 small oranges would have been pretty much most of those traits. I think those only do the first 2 traits. Maybe it might be all 3, but even so, that's still definitely not worth it. Anyways, 2 PvP. Let's go test these real quick. So 3 teams. Oops, I'm already on one. So let's go test it with a Corvash, which would be the first kind of impressions of what to use it with. They both do the same exact kind of concept. Let's go straight to the brown, get Mountain Crusher spamming, and pretty much just go from there. So we'll get that. It'll surge. There is a Daemon Hero class that could theoretically synergize with it. The only real big issue with a Daemon Hero class is the fact that it does not have half mana start, which kind of makes it pretty useless, unfortunately. So that has immune to mana drain. That's not good. This doesn't have Dispel or anything either, so we might have to cast that first. We could just throw a Skull for now. Then again, maybe I should have let him have the Skull just so it would get unblessed. There we go. Keeps gaining it because it seems to be using Titan as well. Bunch of skulls there, but it doesn't end up hitting. Let's see. Looks like we might actually lose this very first one. But what we can do is use her summon at least, if nothing else. So that will get a kill, but then we can go get a Wrath, which is really good in first slot. And it does look like the Bless retroactively goes onto the summon. So she does bless all daemons with her ability. And that does do it to her summon immediately. So that's actually pretty good then, at least, if nothing else. You get a first slot with Bless immediately on it, as well as, of course, whatever other daemons you might have onto your team. So now we have a little bit better skull value, which works out quite conveniently, given that he's actually skull spamming us right now. That's not too bad. It does look like it's going to be a pretty slow win overall, though. Mainly because nothing about her is quick, no board control. Even just comparing it to Corvash damage real quick, that is not as big of a difference as I thought it would be. I was expecting her to be almost maybe double his damage. But no, there's only a 9 damage difference. And if your Corvash was actually in first slot, there would only be a, what is that, a 6 damage difference, which is basically 0. Of course, we can get Fairy Fire and do that little bit extra damage that way, but overall still looks pretty underwhelming. Oh, do that, get a bunch of skulls, kill it with the Wrath summon, if nothing else. If it was 100% Wrath or 100% Lust summon, I'd probably actually say it would be a little bit better. But we just don't know what's going to happen. Like, right there, we got lucky. Like, we needed Wrath there, and we ended up getting Wrath. But that could have easily been Lust, which would have not have done as much value for us. Wouldn't have been good. Anyways, let's go try taking that skull there. We don't have Wrath in first, so we don't get those 2 explosions anymore, but let's take that into brown, Corvash it, and that's pretty much matched. We get our last drain there. Need another little true damage. We can keep resummoning into the first slot there with the Sin, and just go from there. So it'll convert away all greens to purples. I cannot stop that, so it's going to get an extra turn that I cannot stop. Let's see what we'll do with that. Just go and get a little bit more convert, take a poke. Looks like Corvash might go down too. Luckily, we do have infinite summons. And this time we got Lust, which isn't as useful there. It's pretty useless actually in first slot. That's a very vulnerable position for it, as it doesn't have anything that works good in first slot, which just makes it really weird that both the summons just have completely different roles as far as what they do. Wrath is first slot only pretty much, and Lust is basically any slot other than first, as far as where you would normally want to use her for the most part. No, you're not the MVP. You failed us. But yeah, overall, very underwhelming Mythic. Hey, we got someone else using Mythic. Haha, Rope Dart. A Rope Dart with like a bit of a Goblin Loop, kind of. But here we go. Here's an almost pure Daemon team. If you did want to run this pure Daemon, run your hero class as Sorcerer. However, Sorcerer does not have half mana start. No Daemon currently has half mana start as far as hero class or any troop that makes them all go 50%. Unfortunately, can't do that. But at least we got a good starting board here. Get her a little bit of browns. We are using Titan, of course, just to make it go a little bit quicker, as Titan is still the best hero class in the game. Hasn't really changed. So she does have enough true damage to go. Oh no, that's not even a kill. Never mind. But we do have Mirror Lift, so even if it's close to a kill, but not exactly a kill, we can go use Mirror Lift to clean up any bit of damage that we might need on one of these. So this next cast right here. Oh, never mind. We got hit on Skull there, so it will be enough now. But we'll go and just move that. Keep in mind, she is gaining, I keep forgetting that too, she is gaining 1 magic every cast, and that is included Mountain Crusher. It even includes her own ability, like you'll see right here, even though it currently says 33 damage, it is going to move up to 34 right there, as you can see. But yeah, every single time we do that, it just keeps going up and up and up very slowly over time. Which means its gap is actually even closer to Corvash then, isn't it? because it was actually probably had a few extra magic when I was looking at it earlier. Almost forgot about the arcane aspect. But yeah, we are reducing their skills by 4 every single time we get these extra turns. It's not really making too much of an impact, though. I am using a loop team for this next one, though. So maybe we'll see a little bit more of an impact with that one. But overall, this battle didn't go too bad. At least compared to the previous one, it didn't go too bad. As I say that, we immediately die on one. But it should be fine if it'll stop rope darting us. Stop it. Rope dart. One of those old event weapons that are actually pretty decent. But we got a Lust, which in that current position is actually not bad of a location for her. So we'll take it, I guess. There goes a bit of true damage, and now we got to deal with that. And that does have a mean to transform. I actually cannot try transforming that, unfortunately. Because, well, we can't. So that's going to make Possessed King a little bit more useless, since we can only use him for mana generation in this one particular instance. We actually try disabling that just so he doesn't get any more summons. It doesn't look like we got the 40%, and obviously it didn't charm because they're not next to each other. So we can try converting him. We'll try to get him into a weaker one. Doesn't look like we can get it, though. One single poke will kill him out. And we can simply just take that skull. However, we're going to need like another 2 skulls to be able to kill out his final troop there. And I don't see any immediate way that we're really going to be able to get that yet. We tried it off the top to try getting purple. Looks like we got it. And now we can try skull to skull. So we got 1 skull, didn't get the other, but he simply hands us the other. We'll take blues, grab ourselves a purple there, and we'll just take that final skull and dead. Okay, so final battle. This one should be able to utilize its trait the most. And it looks like we got that other achievement from the little MVP thing. This MVP thing at the end of battle is pretty pointless for the most part. Does make for pretty interesting screenshots, though. And also, that is a really long name. I cannot even remotely read that name. But let's go fight it real quick. It's an interesting version of a divine team. But let's roll it with this. Moneylender, Alchemist, Queen of Sin, and Queen of Tanya. You can also go Alchemist Moneylender, but I figured I'd do it the other way around because of our summon that she has in case first slot ends up dying. But basically still same premise as a normal Alchemist Moneylender. Well, after we get unfrozen, we're going to want to start getting Alchemist Moneylender loop going and then just constantly keep getting her fed into more and more stats that you will then be able to go and keep getting more arcane, as well as more reductions onto his entire enemy team. And it's pretty much the premise we're going with here as far as with this battle. So right over here, we did get unfrozen. We'll try for brown up the top. You know what? Let me actually take that brown first. Before I cast that, I do need to make sure Alchemist reaches full mana. We can let him poke us. However, I would want to actually get guaranteed mana if I was to do that. So let's take that instead. And allows us to get some other options here. So now we'll go Alchemist that. And we can start getting the reductions going. So we'll do that. And every single time we cast, of course, we just keep getting more and more reduction. We could even keep looting, doing that, getting Queen of Tanya's whenever we can. And just keep ever so slowly chipping their HP down. Using Queen of Tanya for some of our damage, as well as cleaning up whenever we need to with the other ability. The other big issue, of course, with her is she will end her ability when we go for that. So we have to make sure that the board is completely clear before we bother going for it. But in the meantime, we'll just keep going with Infinite Loop and just go from there. Whenever we have enough reds, we'll just go for it. Doesn't look like we have it now. Could actually try putting a little bit more on. Or go for ability. I think we'll go for more reds here. Keep getting those reductions. Looks like we finally missed. So it might be time to go bring that out. Even though we are frozen, it does look like we still go Queen of Tanya there. And now we kill it with this. This hits 2 enemies, so it will be able to hit through that Submerge. Never mind, it doesn't have Submerge anymore. I'll just take a skull. They'll poke us back. We'll get our summon. And as that. And then a Lust up in front. And of course, they both gain their Bless. So, this Mythic. How good is it? It is horrific. It is almost Gargantar bad. Not quite Gargantar bad. But it's so bad that our reality is probably better than it. So yeah, this Mythic, definitely worth skipping. Will it be usable in the future? Probably not. However, if Daemons ever get like a half mana start, maybe it'll find its way into some kind of Daemon team. But in the current state of the game, this Mythic is probably the most skippable Mythic we've gotten in like the last year or so. If you don't have that many resources, this is definitely one to skip and just wait out until a better Mythic ends up coming around. Anyways, guys, that'll wrap it up for this video. If you have any other questions, feel free to leave it in the comment section below. Thank you all so much for watching, and have a wonderful weekend. Best of luck if you are going to be trying to obtain her from Glory Gem Guild and VIP Chess. Goodbye, everyone!